You're right, it was very significant. I suppose at a political level, we had a union which was active at a time of Labour government, and that was the first time that had been the case for some time. And we had to decide how we were going to deal with major changes that the government was putting through. The one I remember most of all was the changes in teacher education, which were very strongly resisted by students up and down the country, with a wide range of different actions and activities. But I suppose in a more profound sense, the changing relationship with the trade union movement was the key thing. There was a greater alignment between students and trade unions on a wide range of different issues, both political campaigns, but also the common interests of students and trade unions in trying to address future jobs for students and where those situations went. And I suppose finally the change in our service companies was very important. It was a period when NUS Travel went into liquidation, which was a very sad moment, and we sold Emsley Insurance to a private company. I know the relations are still very close, but it changed the nature of student politics to some extent. Well, it was a fantastic time of change across the world. The international aspirations, I suppose, were absolutely enormous. In Cambridge, it was a question of campaigning against the then fascist governments in Spain and Portugal, and also the military regime in Greece and anti-apartheid. So these issues were very, very big, and they drew me into student politics at that time, as well as the idea to try and have a democratic approach to student politics in Cambridge, rather than the very elitist approach which had been usual. I think it's the sense of comradeship with a large number of people who I really, really enjoyed working with and I learnt a lot from. These were both fellow students on the National Executive of the party. There were people elsewhere involved in politics more generally, and people who worked for the organisation. And there was a tremendous sense of teamwork, which is quite unusual, I think, in any working environment. Politics in general has become more consensual. The great dramas of, say, anti-apartheid and freeing Nelson Mandela, or the massive industrial disputes of the time, are no longer part of the currency in the sense that it was then. And I think student leaders now have to be much more sophisticated in the way they try and advance the interests of students, in the way that they take up the causes and arguments. And I think that's quite a challenge. Enormously. I think anybody who's been fortunate enough, as I was lucky enough to be involved in student politics, acquires a whole set of skills and attributes as a result of that, which are of great benefit in later life. The most important is to learn to listen to people, because in student politics people are very vociferous, but you listen to what's going on. You have to understand that there are a wide variety of different types of people who make up the body politic, the way in which you operate, and you have to try and learn from those. You have to understand the way that political change takes place. It's not a question just of willing it. You also have to think how you make it come about. And these are all very important skills. In addition to that, you travel around the country, you meet a large number of people, you get a sense of what this country is, and also an element of international activity as well, which is all beneficial as well. I think I would have worked harder at trying to ensure that we could engage in the way that the things are taught, the way that the curriculum worked, the form of study, if I can put it like that, where I think there's a lot of things that we could have learned. I didn't. I defend the reform I put through. I think it was the right thing to do. I know the NUS opposed it for perfectly understandable reasons, but I think they were wrong. I think the current government's proposals are incoherent in the extreme. The most important and bad thing is removing the various ladders to access to higher education, the Education Maintenance Allowance, the Aim Higher programme and so on, which help people from a wide range of backgrounds get to university. But then beyond that, the decision to remove all funding effectively from a wide range of courses completely breaches every principle that we were talking about. Our whole concept was that students and state should share, because both students are beneficiaries and the state is a beneficiary. This government's turned it around so the state will contribute effectively nothing to undergraduate teaching, which I think is serious dishonesty and wrong. As far as the 9,000 is concerned, no, I didn't expect it ever to go as high as 9,000. I don't think that of itself is a complete killer, because it is paid back through the tax system, through your life, according to what you've earned later on in life. And I think that is a manageable state of affairs, even though it obviously seems very daunting at the outset. But I think the incoherence of the overall proposals is a serious, serious problem. The most important of all is that quality of undergraduate education is exceptionally important, and quality means the materials that are available, the contact time that there is, the actual facilities on campus, your question of where you live and how you live while you're there, a whole range of what I'll call traditional NUS concerns come right into the forefront as universities have to understand how they can possibly justify these kinds of fees to their potential students. And that gives the NUS and local student unions a lever to make a really strong argument about the quality of the experience which a student has when they're at university. And where I am now active in the NUS, that's what I'd be really making sure we came across on. So it's a question of how much support you get, how much teaching you get, what facilities are available, etc., etc., etc. And I think that's a big, big opportunity for the NUS. I took through a large number of controversial and difficult reforms, and they were controversial. Student finance was definitely one of them, the whole university reform. ID cards, which the government's now turned down, was another, which I know is very controversial. I suppose the university reforms is the most significant thing. Not at the moment, no. I've decided not to put my hat in the ring for the Norwich nomination this time. I don't really think I want to be in Parliament until I'm nearly 70, which would be implied if I was to run in the next election and win. On the other hand, I look at politics, I don't feel optimistic about politics either on the government side or on the opposition side, and so I'll keep watching, keep an interest and see if any opportunities arise.